Greetings, folks. Welcome back to the Jason Damico Show. Want to thank all of the great platforms, affiliates out there, whatever you want to call them, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, Simplecast, all the great platforms that make it available for us to bring the show to you. And want to thank everybody who has listened in and tuned in and supported the 110 whatever plus episodes now. And little announcement on YouTube, we now have the Jason Damico Show YouTube channel officially. So be sure to subscribe to that, because if you're on the old Jason Damico channel, which really isn't the old one, but that's the one with all of the artist elements and songs and whatnot, we've migrated over. So if you're seeing this, hit subscribe, and we will see you from now on this channel. But our guest today, very special guest as always. Any guest on the show is special. Our guest has been named Nashville Universe's Rising Star of 2018 and Best Country Artist by the Hollywood Music and Media Awards, along with multiple regional awards. With hundreds of songs, performances, and radio interviews throughout the U.S., including the legendary WSM Nashville, she shared the stage with many artists, including Luke Combs, Brothers Osborne, the Oak Ridge Boys, Corey Smith, Shenandoah, Bucky Covington, Natalie Stovall, Adam Sanders, and Mac Powell of Third Day. Please welcome to the show our good friend, Miss Tiffany Ashton.
Hey, Jason. Thanks for having me on. This is fantastic.
It's great to have you, and enjoying the, what is that, leopard? Cheetah?
Leopard, yes.
Leopard. I had it right.
I love it. I really do. I'm so glad that the animal prints are back in. I feel like we collectively all got together for like 5-7 years and we're like, oh, cheetah's just not in fashion. Leopard's not in fashion. And I was like, what? No. Always in fashion.
Yeah, the zebra thing has kind of turned into a thing on our end, and it's really turning into something. So, you gotta have that animal thing, that pizzazz.
I love the wild prints. I think they're fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me on today. I'm super excited to talk with you about everything.
Of course. I mean, you
got to sit down and talk.
This is the Tiffany Ashton, ladies and gentlemen. You're getting her in the flesh. This is happening right now in real time. She's got a very exciting life.
Yes, it's been a fantastic year, actually. So I'm really excited to share more with you guys about everything that's going on, and it's so cool to be back talking with you too. I can't believe it's been a while since we met at the Carolina Music Awards, hasn't it?
It has, and then a couple of brushings here and there with certain projects,
Oh, yeah. Yes.
So let's get into it, which is kind of funny because we've known each other for how long now? 8-10 years, something like that.
I don't know. I think it might be 5 years.
5?
Because I met you, I think, in person. We connected online through music and everything because the music world is small, isn't it?
Right.
Especially in the Carolinas, and everybody's super supportive and everying.
You're right. You know what? Yeah. You are right. I think it was more like 5 or 6 now that I think about it. Well, I remember being at the Carolina Music Awards 10 years ago. So I'm not sure if it was there, but I think it was more around, you're right, probably 2015.
Yeah, I think so. But man, that was a good time because it's so funny because like you see people online and you kind of connect with people like you and I think probably 2012, 2013, probably connected online or something. But then we were in person at the Carolina Music Awards. And I think both of us were nominees that year for different categories. And it was just like, oh my gosh, I finally get to see you in person and meet you and talk with you. It's great.
Well, let's get into it because it's in that case, if we've known each other for 5 or 6 years, this is really the first time we've actually talked about your story. So
it's fantastic. I'm glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Let's get into your beginning stages. How did you get into this industry and country music?
Wow. So it's really funny because I always feel like I was just sort of born to sing. I feel like some people like just kind of come out singing, and that was pretty much me. From the time I was 2, 3 years old, I was decking myself out in my Disney princess costumes and singing at the top of my lungs to, Broadway songs, Anastasia, all of that stuff. And tried with, like, when I was super young, my mom was like, okay, we know that she loves to sing. She tried me in cheerleading. She tried me in all sorts of different things. And whenever I was 6, I guess she was finally like, you know what? We're just gonna let her have the stage. And so I did my first church solo when I was 6 years old. Did Amazing Grace for the church. And from then on, I started going around the South. I've got plenty of family, lots of different friends at different churches, and I started doing that. Kind of evolved into doing the national anthem and those types of things for ballparks. And I joined choir whenever I was probably 5 or 6. I was the youngest little thing in there, and looking back on the pictures, it's adorable because all the other girls are so much older than I am, and I'm just like knee-high to a grasshopper and knee-high on them.
Right.
But so that's kind of where I started to get my start, because I started performing at such a young age, though, and I was performing other songs. So like I was performing things that were written by other people and that kind of thing. But I always loved to write too. So even from the time, I guess I was 7 or 8, I had like books full of poetry that were completely separate from music. But you're probably going to get a kick out of this. When I was, I guess, 9, I hadn't remembered that I did this, but I found a notebook from when I was 9 the other day, and it had poetry in it, but above it, it said like do, re, mi, ti, ti. Like I had like the classic do, mi, mi, so, re, fa, la, ti, ti, all that type of thing. I had already tried to start writing my own music when I was 9 and made I based everything off of do, re, mi, and was already like trying to find a way because I didn't know how to write music yet. So I guess some people are just born to be a songwriter, I guess. But that was kind of the first thing that I have of where I was trying to songwrite. And then when I was 11, I started to play guitar. I started taking guitar lessons. And to me, that was like the first thing that I wanted to do was write my own songs and like put them down on paper, get them out into the world. So I've really been writing songs since for a long time. But I love it. It's a passion.
Who are some of your major influences?
Oh gosh, wow. I love that. So my mom used to, like, on Saturday mornings, we always had CMT on while we were cleaning the house. So of course we were mid 2000s country females particularly. So like Carrie Underwood, Miranda Lambert, Taylor Swift, all of them were on there. And I just remember looking and watching them on CMT and going, they're doing what I love to do. And they're, that's what I always wanted to do and wanted to be. Right. I also, she also used to have like her CDs all burned and everything. And we used to listen to a lot of Jewel, a lot of Alison Krauss. So I really love a lot of the tonal qualities to their voices, and you can hear that kind of reflected in my music now. But of course, again, early 2000s. So like Toby Keith, Brad Paisley, and of course, separately from that, like completely different genre jump, but Avril Lavigne, I love her. I think that she kind of has that edgier vibe, and she really took that and image and that artistry through her songwriting, and I think it's pretty evident. So I love that. Wow, that is such a loaded question to ask any artist, man. I love it because I feel like everything that you listen to kind of matriculates itself into your artistry, and I was thankful enough to grow up in Appalachians, in a really cool and diverse area. So I am from and grew up in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, which is in the foothills of the Appalachians. So there's a lot of bluegrass, which has incredible artistry and incredible musicianship, particularly. Like my first guitar teacher was Ralph McGee, one of the really great musicians in bluegrass. And it's one of those things that I was exposed to that. I also did a lot in choir, so I heard a lot of show tunes and Broadway and that type of thing early on, and choral arrangements, of course, too. I always listened to country on the radio, and whenever I was at home with my family, Christian music, pop music. I just feel like even where I grew up really influenced who I am as an artist. So,
good answer.
It's a lot.
I think so. I think it's great.
Unpacks every artist she's listened to.
Right. So country specifically, how did you find your way in that? Was it because you were really listening to a lot of CMT type artists? Did you find an affinity towards that type of songwriting to begin with?
I'm in love with the stories of songs.
Okay.
From the time that I was young, as I said, writing was a huge passion of mine. So the poetry book's full of writing, and also performing. I'd already been performing from a young age, and it just naturally evolved in that way, I feel like, because country music in itself is kind of like the story of the people. The everyday mundane things. I always admired how I felt like country songwriters could look at the most mundane things about people's lives. You know, like the ring that the glass leaves on the bar whenever and that makes it into the song. Like, And there are some brilliant songwriters, you know. Of course, we lost poor John Prine this year, but I mean, there are so many more that I can just think of off the top of my head. Dolly Parton, even, like, she wrote all of her own songs, and I just, there's an appreciation there for me as far as being able to take people on that journey with you and to see something, a different perspective on the same things that you see every day.
Right.
And that's really kind of what drew me into country music, was the way that I feel like the songs revolve around the story and bring in those small mundane details that you go, that is powerful. So
there's definitely a cleverness to country lyrics. I'll say even as much as rap. So, you know, there's definitely, it makes a country song. And I'm not really a country guy, but you know, but from what I've heard, yeah, there's a cleverness there. The lyrics are very important in country music.
Yes.
Yeah.
They really are a lot more similar to poetry, I feel like, than some other genres. And not to say there aren't some other genres that are fantastic. Like, I think some of Chance the Rapper's early stuff is brilliant. He had a lot of really in-depth lyrics that it took you a while to digest. And I think there's pretty much a beauty in that, to having multiple tiers in the story of songs. So anyways, that's what drew me to country music. That is kind of how country music became my first love. So
that's great. I'm going to digress for a second and talk about college, because you did go to school.
Yes.
I believe for math. Is that right?
For economics. I actually started out as an engineering major. And even at that point, so even whenever I was in high school, I was traveling and touring around. I was a Grammy voter, so I did a lot with the Recording Academy and the Grammy organization. So there was a ton of traveling already involved kind of with my lifestyle and that kind of thing. So whenever I did go to college, I actually went to UNC Charlotte. I started out in engineering. They had a curriculum-wide attendance policy that they were like, oh, of course you can go to the Grammys. You can skip 2 days of class, but you have to reapply to the whole curriculum. And I was like, that is, you know, so it was very much a, and, you know, I ended up changing my major to economics and had a history minor as well. Cool. And economics really lent itself really well to what I was doing anyways. They didn't really see what I was doing as competition. You know, they really saw me running my own business and utilizing the tools that they were giving me to run my own business. So it was just a very different mentality as far as even talking with professors and that kind of thing. So it was a fantastic swap. I did miss a lot of the abstract math. There was a lot of that in economics still, but I do like my math. Oh, so yeah, no, but I graduated in May of 2020. I don't know what that typically is now, because I think that the upcoming class is about to graduate too.
Right.
But that was an interesting experience in the midst of COVID, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was one of the last classes to graduate normally.
Right. Yeah.
So
It's a very different experience, but I'm thankful because they've actually announced that they're allowing the class of 2020 to also walk in person with the next in-person graduation. So I'm excited because that was something that was pretty important to me. So
yeah, that's cool. Before we get into some of the newer material, I really, something caught me. I know this about your story, but I think the viewers and perhaps new fans would love to hear about your brother, because I think that's definitely played into a series of events in your life and your family's life. And I met your brother, and really sweet person, and would just love to talk about that for a couple of minutes and just see, the dynamic with how that's been over the years. And that's a pretty serious situation.
yeah, it is. For those that don't know, my younger brother Tristan, he is 22. He has autism and he has severe epilepsy. So one of the reasons that we ended up in North Carolina, even to begin with, I was born in Atlanta, and so was my brother. But whenever I was 3 and he was 2, the services for children with autism, he was diagnosed at 1.5. And we moved to South Carolina, and then we moved to North Carolina in pursuit of services to help him lead a fuller life and really kind of get back on his feet, because they said he'd have to be institutionalized. His prognosis was pretty atrocious, actually. So, but with all of the therapies that he's been through, with the support of my family, he has gotten to the point that he is verbal, he is adorable. He still has a lot of challenges with the seizures. He has a grand mal about once a week. That medication doesn't seem to control. So we are constantly looking for new things to work with him and try to see if we can find something that's going to help him. So yeah, that's kind of the, I'm really thankful though, because he really is my little buddy. He loves Disney, animals, dinosaurs, all the above. I feel like one of the only people on earth that like knows like right off the bat, like their exact favorite dinosaur, their exact favorite animal, and has like some random like animal facts just from living with him. He's the best, keeps all of us informed on the latest of the animal science, animology, zoology. I suppose that's the proper term, but But he's my little buddy, and I think that it really does give you like a different perspective on life and a different perspective on being compassionate towards people, because you never know what people are going through at any given moment in their life, in any given situation. So my senior year of high school, we almost lost him a couple times, actually. And I wrote a song called So Much Left to Say that's still up on YouTube and people can go check out. But it was about a really interesting time in all of our lives that it was a big experience for all of us, of course,
Right.
So, but I think hardships make you stronger.
Right.
And I'm thankful for all of the things that we do have with him, and for what a little blessing that he's been in our life. So.
Yeah. It's amazing. It really is.
He is.
Yeah. Well, to kind of segue into your songwriting, I'd love to talk about your creative process as far as how that's developed over the years, and if it's somewhat the same when you were 11, 12 and to now, or in co-writing too, because I know you do some co-writing. So I'd love to talk about that.
Okay, sure. Whenever I first started songwriting, it was very dependent on my guitar, because of course I was learning guitar at the time, was learning different chords, was, kind of experimenting with all of that. And so I was very tied to one specific instrument. Nowadays, I'm actually taking some Pro Tools courses currently and learning a lot about that. And
nice.
You know, I don't know if you probably can't see it here, but I've got a keyboard that is MIDI controlled, and I do a lot of different things as far as songwriting goes nowadays than just being sort of glued to one instrument, because what's the fun in that?
That's what I've been saying for 20 years. So,
you know, it's one of those things that I think different instruments lend you to different songs. So, it's been really cool to kind of see that evolution. Of course, lyrics have always been probably my first, you know, I always base my lyrics around what the melody seems to be telling me.
So you go lyrics first, then music for the most part, or is it?
No, I go melody first.
Okay.
And lyrics.
Okay.
Lyrics are super natural to me, as far as like that's probably you know, some people ask, are you a melody person or are you a lyrics person? I would say that I do tend towards the lyrical side, but I'm still pretty strong with melodies. I do a lot of solo writing. So whenever you do a lot of solo writing, you sort of have to be kind of a double tasker on both. But I usually come up with the melody first. And then to me, a song in itself is its own little entity. Mm-hmm. And you're trying to do it justice when you write it. So I listen to the melody, try to kind of convey what the melodic emotions are with what I end up writing lyrically, since the lyrics come usually a little bit easier. So
right.
That's pretty much my process with all of that. It has been interesting to see, because of course the things that matter to you at 13 are very vastly different than what is important to you at 20, right? Like, I'm sure you've felt that in your processes too.
The things that matter to me at 25, 26 are universe different than 27. It feels like it's, you know,
for real. So like when you get to the next,
every 6 months there's constant shifts.
It's a
every day
evolution of
yeah.
But I think it's really cool because the songs themselves reflect that. So even whenever I look back and everything on, you know, some of my earlier projects, whenever I was like 13, of course you listen to them and you parties like, oh man, that's a little bit corny of a line, Tiffany. But at the same time, you're like, at the time, it's kind of a reflection of where you were at that time and where you were. I mean, what you write at 13 is obviously going to be vastly different than 23, 20, you know.
Do you have like a how many songs did I read that correctly? You've probably written over 100 songs at this point.
Oh yeah, hundreds. Yeah.
So no. you and I both
I write pretty much every day.
Yeah, you and I both are kind of in the same wheelhouse with that. Do you have any favorites as far as, you know, that I don't know if I'm really going to ever write something like that ever again?
I always try to explain it to people. Like, I feel like songs are like the children, especially if you're a songwriter and you have these like musical creation babies that you know, you put a lot of effort and love into and everything, but they are released into the world that each serve their different purpose, you know? So of course, like, there are songs that are close to my heart because of certain things that I went through in order to get the songs, as far as, you know, and I say get the songs, but whenever Tristan had those injuries and we were about to lose him, that song is very special to me because of some of the sentiments I have towards that song. But I don't know if I'd call it like my favorite, you know? Because I think they're all special in their own different way, you know? Southern Sweetheart was one of the first singles I released when I was 20 in 2015. And, you know, it got a lot of really wonderful critical acclaim from like the Hollywood Music and Media Awards and the Carolina Music Awards and all kinds of places. And I look back on that and I smile because, of course, it's a super sassy, sweet little song that I wrote whenever I was 16. Actually, no, I guess I was 15. And, you know, I really opened a lot of doors for me in my career that I'm super thankful for. But again, like, there's just different sentiments that come along with each song, and they each serve different purposes. And you can write a song and out of the blue, a year later, somebody says, hey, I just want to let you know that this song really helped me through depression. Thank you for writing it.
Right.
And it just, there's been a lot of moments like that I think it would be really hard to pick a favorite, because kind of like your children. I mean, and they're created for different reasons. So, and in different life phases. So
I like it.
But of course, you're always looking forward to the next songs that you write.
Of course.
And always trying to push yourself and challenge yourself to do something better or different, or something that's even more reflective of where you are at your place in life, that you can share with other people as a performer. So
I want to talk about, I'm going to write an extra bullet point here. I want to talk about for a second, before we get into the new material, drive and the pursuit of passion and, some of these buzzwords, and just wanted to get your take on those factions of any, you could say the music industry or the entertainment industry or life in general. What are your thoughts on some of those?
Being passionate about music, and being in the music industry are vastly different things. I will say that. There are plenty of people that I come across that do music, are passionate about music, but don't do the industry, and they don't really care to. And there's a lot of people that do the industry and are very involved in the business side of everything, that really the artistry doesn't really mean as much to them. So to be able to see it kind of as like the flip side of a coin, the music industry driving the music, or the music driving the music industry, it's interesting. It really is. And unless you have that perseverance, that the determination to be in the industry, it's not for everybody, and it's not always a fun ride. Sometimes it's a bumpy ride, and there are no's. There are times that you're just like, you know what, this is a lot harder than anticipated. I mean, and I'm sure you've come across a lot of those times yourself. But whenever you're really, truly passionate about your music and feel like it has that place in that industry, that it could quite literally change people's lives, I mean, I think that's a gift. And I think that is where that drive comes from. And I think that is where that motivation comes from, to be like, no matter what happens with the industry, the music itself is worth celebrating. And, my skills with music are worth being heard by the world. So you have to have the drive to be in the industry. So
for sure. Cowboy.
Yes.
New single. Ooh. Let's talk about it. When did this drop? Because I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah. It dropped on I believe, oh goodness gracious, the dates. I believe it was February 28th.
Okay.
Yeah. It's been out for a month, and the fans have been eating it up. It has tens of thousands of plays on it already. So thank you guys for listening into it. It was up on CMT's Next Woman in Country playlist and their the Roundup playlist. CMT is super supportive of women in country. And that has been lovely to see in the last couple years, because of course, there's been a lot of dialogue about that. But I
honestly wouldn't know, because I'm not really in the country.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. But that's interesting. I had no idea.
2017 made up 7% of country radio.
In 2017?
Yeah.
7%?
7%. Yes.
Oh wow.
And that was typically your Miranda Lamberts and your Carrie Underwoods. So there are a lot of new artists that are coming around the corner that are picking up a lot of steam, like Ingrid Andress and Gabby Barrett, but it's still a very large gap,
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what that is in the pop world and other genres too.
Yes. But country has a marked, I hate to say chasm, but I mean, I don't know how else you describe that. 7% is a little atrocious.
Right,
but,
right.
you know, CMT's been really actively working to change a lot of that, which has been lovely to see. Leslie Fram over there and Stacey Cato have both been
Do you think it has to do with, does it have to do with the ratio of male to female artists in the industry, in that genre, or is it just completely lopsided?
No. It's
Okay.
kind of there's a lot of things that go into that.
Interesting.
Yeah, because there's a whole can of worms you could pull out with all that. But
we'll have to. That'll be a fun off the record discussion at some point.
You know, I mean, it is. It's a deep dive for sure because there's a lot of different things like that. But yeah, it is very nice to see very active voices trying to come behind women in the industry. So it's been great, and CMT's been very active and vocal. But yeah, so they've put Cowboy on all their playlists and everything, and it did great on there. And the fans have been eating it up. It's a really, really fun song, and I absolutely loved the kind of take on the song because I actually wrote it with two of my really dear friends out in Los Angeles, Wes Theobald and Taylor Scott. And Taylor actually came up kind of like, we had a track that we were writing to, and it was like super Jason Aldean, like it was great, super rocking. And we were listening to it and just kind of, so what does the melody kind of feel like? What does what do the lyrics lend themselves to? And Taylor looks at me and he goes, "You should write a cowboy song." And I went, "Absolutely not." And he was like, "Why? What's, like, I mean, at first he was just kind of shocked. He was like, "Why is she so like adamantly against like writing a song like that?" And I was like, it's, and don't get me wrong, I love Cowboy Take Me Away. I love Wild West by Runaway June. There are so many fantastic cowboy songs. But every single song I really have always felt like in that category has been, oh dear, my cowboy has ridden away into the sunset without me, boo-hoo, what am I going to do? And I was literally like, I looked at him and we were just kind of talking about it, and that's just not something I feel like performing. It's not something that I find very empowering. It's not something that, like if it was a situation like that, I'd be like, seriously? I don't know. That's just not really my personality. Mm-hmm. And so we were all talking about this, and I looked at him and I was like, if it were a situation like that, I'd be like, boy, you can be my cowboy, like not really the other way around. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna just be along for the ride for whatever you want to do. And we all just kind of looked at each other and we were like, that's the song. That is the song, And so it's a super sexy song. It's a super fun song. It's a very I enjoy performing it. We actually got to play it live at the Viper Room for the very first time in November, I guess, of 2019. And it was fantastic. For those that don't know, the Viper Room is a iconic rock venue in Los Angeles, right on Sunset Strip. River Phoenix passed away there. Johnny Depp owned it for a long time. I mean, it's a super duper cool place. But we had to perform it there live for the first time to a packed audience in the Viper Room, and it was unbelievably fun. Right after that, I ended up flying out to Philadelphia, singing the national anthem for Barstool Sports and Nine Line Apparel's Army-Navy tailgate for the Army-Navy game, which was amazing. I had never been to Philadelphia, much less to the Army-Navy game. It was always kind of like a bucket list item for me, so it was fantastic to get to go. And we actually were able to, of course, this is pre-COVID and everything, we were able to be up in the boxes and like a couple boxes down was the president, which, I mean, no matter how you feel about that, pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then we got to ring in 2020, woo, at Opryland Resort. And we did the Opry radio station, did the countdown for one of country's biggest spots. So that was really cool. But of course, all of that was pre-COVID. Right, and I'm ready to get back out on the road. I really miss that. I miss performing live.
Yeah. Do you have any dates coming up as far as with the band or solo?
Right now, no, because this is brand new information that has recently come out. but I'm actually heavily involved in the soundtrack, both writing and singing for, and have a small role in a movie called The Queen Mary. It is the first of a trilogy that is being done by Rocket Science and a lot of really cool folks. Alice Eve from Star Trek, from Sex and the City 2, she's been in all sorts of things. Belgravia, so like for my Downton Abbey fans. She's going to be the lead female actress in it. There's some more announcements coming soon with it all, but there are some fantastic and exciting things and opportunities right around the corner. But I have been heavily involved in that process, and it is taking me out to the UK in 2021, and also to Los Angeles to work on a lot of this stuff. So there's a lot really involved with that right now, and a lot of scheduling happening. I would, of course, love to be back on the road as soon as possible. Of course, our first concern was safety for a while, because they have just now started rebooking some dates.
Right.
So, yeah, no,
the schedule is packed. The schedule is packed.
It is. But, yeah, no. So, and of course, like going back and forth between the UK and LA, all of that is going to be super exciting. And Nashville. I'm going to be in Nashville probably at the end of this month as well, working on things involved in that specific project. I can't wait to announce more about it soon, because there are some huge things in the works with all of that. But that kind of, I would like to do some more live performances kind of in between there. But of course, with travel restrictions, we're still trying to work some of those things out. But
it's tough.
I know, but
it's tough.
Fantastic problem to have. I hate to even call it a problem. You know what I mean? But I miss the fans. You know, I really do. I miss performing for you guys. Sure you feel that.
Indeed.
But there has been a lot of songwriting going on, of course, this way. In 2020, I did have a song in The Farmer and the Belle, Saving Santaland, which super cute and adorable, Hallmark style holiday movie about true inner beauty. Ended up ranking like number 14 on Amazon for Christmas romances. So it was right up there with like the Christmas Switch and a lot of like super lovely Hallmark movies that I cuddle up to and watch during the holidays. So seeing that, and just, I don't know, the response from everybody was fantastic. And I think it was a fantastic message. Being able to write with a cool team for that. So like Justin Peters, Songs of the Planet, Jen Dodson, Chandler, Jim Chandler, like they are all fantastic people with wonderful hearts that I was really, really thrilled to work with through that project. But that came out in December of 2020. So that was really my first song in a movie. And it was so cool. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be in credits. Love that. It's been an interesting year, because there has been a lot of songwriting and a lot of on-screen things going on, despite there not being as many in-person performances. So,
all right. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's opened different doors than I thought would be open right now, but hey, doors opening. What can you say?
Best and worst performance experiences for you. If you could reflect back on one great one and one just that was terrific.
Which order? No, I'm kidding. Oh man, probably best. Gosh, I'd have to say Opryland's New Year's Eve. We have done the countdown, I believe, twice so far, and it's just, I mean, you're at one of the places that's the heart of country music, you know, and you, the fans and the audiences, it's New Year's, it's just such an energy, man. But Army-Navy game was cool too, because I have so much respect and am very involved in the Purple Heart of North Carolina, very involved with our veterans. My granddad was a Korean War veteran. And my other granddad was in the Army during Vietnam. So there's a special place in my heart for folks that serve our country. And so just being able to sing the anthem for the Army-Navy game tailgate, like, I mean, it was kind of crazy. It was amazing. So those are both I hate to say the Viper Room too, because I feel like I've already covered a lot of this, but it's just, they were such different experiences, but they were all fantastic. And there's nothing like, I mean, this is super duper particular, super like specific, but whenever you're a performer and you're looking out into the crowd and you make eye contact with somebody that knows every single word to every single song that you have sang up on the stage and has memorized your lyrics and is a huge fan, I don't know, there's something special, because like in that moment, like the songs that I've written are not just my songs anymore. They've taken on a life of their own. They mean something to somebody else. And so, and then we share that connection in that moment. That concert is an experience between the all of us. And for 2 hours of that person's life, or however long I'm up on stage, we're making memories. So there's just something special about live performances for me. But of course, that does not mean that you don't have either really frustrating or very interesting experiences. My all-time take the cake bad experience probably has to be face planting on stage.
Ooh.
That was lovely. Of course, I was young, you know, I was probably 14, I guess.
Yeah.
I just written a couple songs. I was in a writer's round, and of course it was a local thing. So thankfully, not some huge Opryland performance, but it was still, for a 14-year-old,
That's rough.
everything. I mean, I've gotten past the point of embarrassment at this point, because I've kind of come to the realization that in life, there's literally nothing to be embarrassed about unless you're embarrassed by it. So when I was 14, though, I was already kind of panicky and everything, because I don't know, it was a writer's round, but back then I was still, it used to be interesting because big venues, I'd always like sang for stadiums, like 7,000 people at a Greensboro Grasshopper Stadium, you know, those types of things. And when I first started playing coffee shops, that was like so intimidating to me. That was like, because I mean, you probably know this experience. Whenever you're singing to 7,000 people, you're not particularly making eye contact with any of them. You know, like it's kind of like you're singing to this huge crowd.
Right.
When you're sitting in a coffee shop, they're staring down, looking there. You can watch every single little facial expression and go, oh my gosh. And if you really sink your teeth into that, you can drive yourself nuts, you know? So that originally was one of the things that I just kind of got a little nervous about, was small crowds. So this little local writers round, had a small crowd that night. And there was only one little step up onto the stage, but I missed it, and I missed it hard. And my guitar, I had it in my hand walking up, and it went all the way over my head. I face planted, like it made a huge bang. So did the guitar, and the guitar's going, oh. It was lovely, like right out of a sitcom. And I just hopped up and I went, I'm okay. I was mortified, but I was okay. And my mom yelled from the back of the room. She goes, is your guitar okay? And I was just like, oh my gosh, okay. Well, thanks. All right. Yeah. And I made the mistake then of saying, I was 14 at the time, so I did not know any better yet. And I just literally got up there and I said, nothing else can go wrong. And everybody thought it was adorable and everything. Well, I started singing, and I don't know how many people know what a boom mic is.
God.
Yeah, it's the microphones that you have to use when you play guitar, but they're set up like this, and you adjust. Yeah, I didn't adjust the boom mic before I got up there. And so I'm halfway through my performance, and I am in a skirt, and I am squatting because the boom mic had sunk all the way to the ground practically. Yeah. So somebody came up and fixed it for me, but by the end of the song, it had already happened twice.
That's rough, man.
I mean, yeah.
That's rough.
But I had made the mistake. I feel like I kind of brought it on myself, you know?
That's a good one. I mean, we've heard a lot of stories on this show. That's up there. That's definitely in the top 5 for sure.
I did have a guitar player that used to dance around the stage like on one leg, and he knocked over my guitar twice in a performance. That was lovely too. But you kind of get to the point that you're just like, as a performer, you have to be so confident in yourself and in your stage presence and with everything that's going on around you, to the point that honestly the stage could be on fire and you should be like, how y'all liking this? Isn't this warm out here?
Yeah.
Don't you love that? Isn't this great tonight, guys? You just have to get to that point, because at the end of the day, your job there is to be an entertainer and to be fun and to enjoy the experience, because people know when you watch somebody that's a nervous performer, you pick up the vibes real fast. And then they're worried for you. They're concerned. They're like nervous because you're nervous. And that's not really why you're there. So I don't know. You learn a whole lot of things like that whenever you're a performer that it's invaluable, you know? And you just really just have to do it. It's not something that, you know, when I was 13 and 14, I played the same Thursday schedule at a coffee shop in little small town King, North Carolina. And I literally played every single week there. And a lot of times I would leave and I would be crying because I knew in my heart of hearts it just wasn't good enough. Never mind that the only person there was the karate teacher, but from down the road. But I still, you know, you have to learn, you have to evolve, you have to grow. And I think that without those kind of growing pains, you don't ever get anywhere. So I'm super thankful for all of that, and super thankful that I was like 11, 12, 13 doing those things, you know, instead of 20, 23, 25, you know, because that definitely looks a lot different, and it definitely gives you a little bit of an advantage. So
for sure.
All right, that was a super long answer, but
no, it's great. It's great. Real quick, as we start to kind of wrap up here, faith. I'd love to get your take on that. You can be as open or as general as you want. You can talk about it as long as you want, as little as you want. Would love to just get your thoughts on faith and the industry.
Faith in the industry.
Well, your personal faith, again, whatever that means for you, and just faith in general. What are your thoughts on it, and then pertaining to the industry and navigating the industry?
Okay, yeah, of course. Me and Jesus have a super strong relationship. I think that the relationship that you have with God should be central to your life, and is one of the most important things you can either decide or not decide for yourself. I actually haven't talked too much about this but whenever I was younger, I went through a phase of like, you know, I think that if your faith has never been tested and you have never doubted your faith, and you have never asked very specific questions about why you believe what you believe, there's an indication that something's up. Because I really do. I mean, Jesus, whenever Thomas said, I want to see the nail prints, Jesus showed him the nail prints in his hand.
Right.
So I do think everybody needs to kind of come to those conclusions on their own and kind of do their own outside research. I know that I did it. I was an engineering major. Research and science means a ton to me. When you have the heads of the world of science, like Stephen Hawking, saying things along the lines of, there is so much evidence for creationism, and I am having to physically to choose for myself that I do not believe in a God. That tells you something. There is so much evidence for creationism. And then I went on this journey of like, okay, so out of all of the world religions, out of everything that I know, what is the truth? And I really think that definitely changed me as a person. And I'm thankful for it. It changed the way I viewed my relationship with God and my relationship with Jesus. And I do view it as a relationship. There are a lot of people that I feel like don't have that relationship aspect with God. They just kind of do all of the religion things. They either go to church, they go to the temple, they go to do whatever, and it's a social event. But I think if you're not asking those grander questions in your life, I mean, it's indicative of a bigger problem and a bigger directional problem. But it baffles me a little bit how many people just don't see that as important. And I think of all things, why I'm here and my purpose in life is of the utmost importance, because it sheds light on everything that you do.
Yeah.
whether you're in the industry or not, whether you're in engineering, whether you're in the music industry is known for some very bad things.
Oh yeah.
And as well as a lot of things in the entertainment industry. They just are.
Yep.
And I guess the one thing that I probably pray for, probably more than anything, is discernment.
Yeah.
Because if everything were black and white, things would be easy. I mean, I think a lot of the things that are bad that end up happening in the world are not a matter of black and white situations where somebody outright chooses the wrong choice. It's the gray areas that they don't really talk to God about. So that's kind of my view on faith. And I think that if you don't have faith in this industry, you will be lost. And I think in general, you'll be lost without faith, but it's an industry that calls into question a lot of things. That it's a very scrutinizing industry of all kinds of things. How you look, how you sound, even down to the words that you use and how eloquent you are versus how not eloquent you are. I mean, there's all kinds of things that come under scrutiny under those lenses. And unless you have that a strong sense of self-identity, either in yourself, in your faith, I think it would be very easy to get lost. And I'm thankful for all the people that I have in my life that are supportive of me. They've supported me in both my faith journey and my heavy overlap.
Fantastic. I have nothing to add to that. Future plans for you. What do you got coming up in the works besides Queen Mary and, let's say 2022, what would you love to see kind of happen as far as these opportunities percolating? It's great. It's awesome.
Lots of songwriting is happening, both for the Queen Mary project and for some of my personal projects. There are a lot of opportunities coming through what's being set up right now. So 2022, I would love to be out on the road.
Yep.
Promoting my own projects and everything again. Once again, it's been an interesting year, but I've been thankful that it's given me some time to really focus on the songwriting and focus on some new material for you guys, because this has been fantastic. And I also have some capabilities now in my home studio that I did not before, set up with Pro Tools and those kinds of things. So there's a lot of really cool things that are in the works.
Very cool. Very cool.
I can't wait to hear some more. Some of these things are in press releases that are coming out very soon, but I'm not obliged to say. I'm contractually obligated not to say right now. So let y'all in on all the details that I can possibly let you guys in on.
I've got one little fun thing I like to do at the end, which is called the shootout, which is I'll say a word that's industry related to the guest, and you just say a word back that comes to mind. There's no right or wrong answers. It's just, I mean, you want
word associations with a songwriter. I like it. Okay.
Yeah, sure. So music.
Love.
Guitar.
Strings.
It's good. Vocal.
Booth. I don't really know why. But
sure.
Okay. I spent a lot of time there. Huh?
Song.
Writer.
Let's see if I can read my own handwriting. Stage.
I know this is odd. Lights. Like just kind of that feeling that you get from having them on you, and it's kind of more of a sensation rather than it is like a word, you understand it's the aura of being on stage and being a performer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wonder if there's a specific word for that. Need help on that. Come up with a word.
Magic. I don't know.
Yeah. It is kind of like an
magical.
Aura. It is.
Studio.
A session. I mean, I don't. It's just one of those things.
Georgia.
Beach. Love it.
Nashville.
Tennessee.
Right. Okay. North Carolina.
Blue.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the blue of the sky. I mean, it's such a Carolina blue, baby.
Last one, and it's the most important.
Oh, okay.
Pizza.
Crust.
I like it.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I know it's weird. It's kind of like my favorite part of the pizza.
Well, so you're like a raccoon then, because we feed our raccoons out in the backyard the crust we don't eat. So
love it. I do too.
I'll have to keep a note of that next time if we're ever. I have to give you my crust.
Thank you. It's so funny because we actually used to. So not in this house, but in the last house that I lived in, there was this huge wraparound porch in the back with tons and tons of trees, and we had a whole host of raccoons that we used to feed on that deck. We named one Ranger. He's precious, but they come up and they paw the back porch like, "Are you ready to give us food yet?" And nothing like it, man. Nothing like it. Love it.
I'd say give them your crust, but I don't think there is crust with your pizzas.
No, sirree, there's not.
No excess crust.
None. But there was plenty of other stuff that we went ahead and let them have a little bit of, but they were pretty precious.
Yeah.
So
One last question for you, and this has been fantastic. Thank you for taking the time to be on. It's been great.
No, thank you for having me, and thanks to everybody out there that's listening. I appreciate you guys. This has been a lot of fun.
If you could go back in time to your 15-year-old self, knowing what you know now, what would you tell her?
Keep going. I mean,
great.
I think that at any point that you are at in your career, the high, the low, there is always something else right around the bend. So, I really, and at 15, she has no idea what's coming. And she's going to be excited.
Yeah.
Just like I'm sure probably my 24-year-old self is going to look back at this and be like, keep going. Telling you.
Right.
Yeah. That perseverance and that determination and that enthusiasm for what you do. You've got to have the enthusiasm and the passion for this line of work. I mean, I'm sure you understand that too, but if you have that passion, I mean, it's a treasure. Not many people have the gift of knowing what they want to do their whole life and knowing what that passion is from the time that they're young. There's just very few people that are blessed with that. So kind of view it as a really, really fantastic thing.
Yeah. Can't argue with it because I'm in the same boat.
Yeah, exactly.
Same boat.
Right. And I think actually going to college really helped me to understand that, because there were a lot of people that just didn't really know what they were doing yet. And hey, listen, there is nothing wrong with that. Life is a journey. It is a trip. It is a ride, but to be able to have the same passion through the entire ride is something that's pretty cool. So,
well, it's a foreign feeling, at least for me. I never understood that, and I thought it was normal to know what always, to a certain degree, a general direction, and that's not the case. It's the antithesis of that. A majority of people don't know. So
yeah, there was a girl whenever I was in 7th grade, I guess, and she asked me, she was like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And of course, that's the age when people start like deciding that they're going to try something more practical with their life. Like in 4th and 5th grade, everybody wants to be a dancer, everybody wants to be a singer, everybody wants to be something that's on stage and wants to, And of course, in 7th grade, I told her, I was like, "I'm going to be a country singer," and she was like, no, but like, what do you really want to
Nah.
do? I was like, I just told you.
Right.
Nah, my answer's the same. But I think that there's that sense of like, yeah, this is what I want to do, you know? So, and then I think that's really important. And I'm pretty thankful to have that because not everybody does.
For sure.
And there's no right or wrong way to do your life, but it is cool to kind of just have something that you're really passionate about throughout.
Absolutely. Your social media handles, we'll gather all those links and put them down below in the description boxes. But just for anybody who's not, if they're driving or something, where can they find you? What are the handles?
All of my handles are available through tiffanyashtonmusic.com.
Cool.
My official Twitter, all of the, of course, we've had, I'm sure you're aware, impersonator accounts. Woo, right. Man. Every other day they're popping up like daisies, got to handle them. But Instagram's Tiffany Ashton Official, TikTok's that. You can find me through Tiffany Ashton on Facebook, all that good stuff. I'd love to connect with everybody and yeah, just talk. This is going to be great. There's some brand new announcements that are coming soon that I want you guys to be the first to be let in on because they're out of this world. Oh, I'm so excited. I've been sitting on a lot of really cool opportunities for a while that I haven't been able to announce. And of course, the first ones were coming with the movie, but there's some more where that came from. So, oh man.
It's awesome. This has been great. Any last words?
Just thank you. Thank you for having me on. Thank you to everybody that's been listening. I appreciate you guys, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you guys through all of this.
Awesome. Well, it's been great having you, and you guys have been watching and listening to the Jason Damico show. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well as follow Tiffany's social. That's right. That's right. And again, this is for all of you on YouTube watching. This is the official channel now. Make sure you subscribe to it for updated episodes because you will not get them from the previous channel. We'll see you guys later. Take it easy. Peace.